All right, we are live. What's going on, T-Shirt Millionaires? I'm Charles Smith III, the host of the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. And today we have an amazing guest, an amazing conversation lined up for you. So, in the midst of this whole Facebook iOS ad storm, everything that we have going on the Facebook platform as far as advertising, it's been really difficult to navigate. And me as a person who is looking for solutions, who's trying to run ads to run their business. One night I was doing a late Google search and I ended up finding this company called AnyTrack. And so I downloaded it. I ended up signing up for the free trial, connected to my store. And over the next couple of weeks, I started getting some really good tracking that I didn't have prior to getting AnyTrack. And then after that, I wanted to know who was behind the software. And so I did some Google searches, I did some YouTube searches, and I ended up finding the founder, who is Laurent Malka, who we have today. And I just reached out to him, and he was gracious enough to be able to respond and say that he would come on the show because I know that this is something that our audience needs. So I really look forward to having this conversation with Laurent. This is going to be inspirational as well as informational. And y'all make sure y'all stay to the end. This is huge. And I think this is going to be a huge benefit to you and your business. So without further ado, as we always do, I'm going to go ahead and hit the intro video. And we're going to have a great conversation with Laurent Malka, the founder and the owner of AnyTrack. All right, what's going on, T-Shirt Millionaires? I'm Charles Smith III, the host of the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. Laurent, how you doing today, man? It's morning where I am. I don't know where you are. What time is it where you are?
Thank you, Charles. Thanks for having me with you today. I am located in Tel Aviv in Israel.
Okay.
Called the Startup Nation. Some of you might have heard. It's very hot. It's later in the day than it is, in the US.
Right.
But yeah, in Israel, Tel Aviv.
That's amazing. Is that where you're from? Are you from Tel Aviv?
No, I'm actually from Switzerland, Geneva, in Europe.
Yeah.
But I moved here about 20 years ago. Seems that the life is a bit more exciting in Israel than it is in Switzerland.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's awesome. Well, look, I appreciate you again for being here. For the people who don't know, right, I gave them a brief overview at the very beginning, but what is AnyTrack? What is AnyTrack, and what is this great SaaS platform that you have created?
It's a bit of a hybrid platform, but call it a conversion data platform. And the idea behind it is to try to map the tools and marketing software, ad networks, and different conversion sources. I'll come back to the details later, but essentially connecting your ecosystem of marketing tools and analytics together. So you can, as a business owner, have a complete view of your business, regardless of the type of product you're promoting, whether it's lead generation, affiliate, offers, or e-commerce websites, and tie all of your marketing goals back to all your marketing tools, so that in your analytics, you'll have a clear view of all your tracked conversions and their sources, and properly attributed. In your email software, you will also know which of your subscribers have purchased a product, whether it's an affiliate product, or it's a lead generation, or offer, or an e-commerce product, and also build up custom audiences across your pixels and analytics and the ad platforms that you are using. Now, why I mentioned earlier that it was a bit of a hybrid platform, because some of the functionality you can find in Google Tag Manager, and you can, program in Google Tag Manager. If you're a good programmer. It's a very complex platform, even for me. And hybrid is because it does a bit of everything, but when you have Google Tag Manager, you need to be coding, and if you can't code, then you're lost. And if you're lost or you do a bit of coding, then the data that you're going to get out of Google Tag Manager is not going to be clean, and it's probably not going to do exactly what you want or what you dream of doing. So hybrid is because Tag Manager does certain things and doesn't do other things, and we kind of complete that picture. And Google Analytics is probably the most amazing tracking analytics platform, but it's very complex. Complex to set up, complex to understand. Some people, are overwhelmed by the platform, and often just drop it because it just doesn't work for them. But the main reason is, how do you get your conversions in Google Analytics? Even when you own your website and you put Google Analytics on your website, you try to configure the conversions, doesn't really work. Or in most cases it doesn't work, or in some cases it doesn't work. So it's not easy to use those platforms, even though you've got the best possible data in there. So there is like the Google Analytics challenge and Google Tag Manager complexity and complications. And then you have Facebook, and obviously the Facebook Conversion API, the Facebook Pixel. So even though before Facebook Pixel was okay, it was easier to manipulate than Google Analytics or other pixels, it was still something fairly complex. And then came, obviously, the Apple storm, which broke the whole game for everyone. And Facebook released the Facebook Conversion API, which is a great tool to overcome some of the issues of the Apple tracking block. But you need to be a programmer to actually implement it. And strangely enough, there are plenty of integrations, but even though there are plenty of integrations, it can be very complex to set up. So we have that client-side tracking, which is happening on your website, like a standard analytics or tracking pixel on your website. And then we have what we call the server-side tracking, which is what happens after people leave your site, or what happens within your server. Let's say it's your payment server, your CRM, or an affiliate network that you from which you promote offers. And obviously, your hands are tied. You can't do whatever you want with these servers. Okay, you need to understand how they work, and you need to understand the API endpoints, and you need to eventually join the data that you collect on your website with the data that is being sent or collected from third-party systems. So you need to instrument a lot of tools, a lot of APIs, a lot of data, so that eventually you can fire this data to your marketing tools, where you actually operate your ad campaigns, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Bing, or Google Ads. You need to send the data over there, so you can leverage their AI or their data-driven marketing optimization and get better results. So that's AnyTrack. It's meant to be very simple. You have to just plug and play. Naturally, the beauty of our tradecraft, I would call that, the marketing, online marketing, means that we all have our own game, our own call it marketing stack. Okay, so some people use unbounce, and then they use like a type form, and then some other use, the native unbounce forms, and some people use that affiliate network, and some other. I mean, everybody has a different cocktail of tools, and then doing some plug and play with so many tools is extremely can be extremely complex for us as developer. And what we try to do is make it as plug and play as possible. But we're not there yet. It's in some cases like Shopify or like affiliate network.
Yeah.
Very easy, but some more complex systems, will require a bit of tweaking. And obviously, we are here to help when that happens.
Absolutely. Well, no, I think that's a great overview, and I have so many questions to ask you within that. But just to speak to your point, like you said, you have Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, all these different things that you can maybe pull off the same type of reporting, but it's difficult to do. And I can just attest myself, when I ended up getting AnyTrack, I signed up. It was easy for me to put everything in. It had step-by-step instructions, and I was able to implement it. And so, not only are you solving the issue of, being able to just use the software, but at the same time being able to implement it in a specific way, in an easy way. So really quick, Lauren, before we move forward and I get in kind of like the technicalities of it, how did you get started on this track? Like, I ended up finding, some of your interviews. It was more for like the affiliate marketing world, but when did this whole path of you creating AnyTrack and, doing all this tracking, how did that start for you?
Well, I've been in the performance marketing industry for many years.
Okay.
The past 20 years in different type of companies, sizes and verticals. And frankly, it's tracking has always been a challenge wherever I was, and was also an edge. So if we were doing better, then we had an edge over our competition, and that's what helped us, to strive in the different companies that I've been working with. And after I sold my business, then I decided to get into that tracking business. So I left the B2C side of things. We were in the B2C business, right, and started in the tracking business. Was not easy. I failed the first time, right, but I think, and that's what what we've done with my co-founder, who used to work with me, helped me on my previous business. I learned a lot of that failure, and specifically that the best possible traffic sources, whether it's Google, Facebook, or the most premium traffic sources, are also the most complex to track. And that's where we decided to focus. And we started with Google Ads, and tracking affiliate conversion, lead generation conversion with Google Ads, which is a big problem because affiliate marketers are not very, in some cases, not very liked by Google Ads, and which often leads to account bans and problems and lack of visibility of your campaigns. So we decided to go, for the hardest part, and we did well. We brought in a few customers. We presented our solution, which was essentially a piece of code to plug as close as possible to your Google Analytics code on your site, and everything was working. And the clients were like, "Wow, that's amazing!" Right. I mean, where is the software? How do we see the software? Where is the report? There is no report. There is no software. You just take the tag and it connects automatically to Google Analytics, and you'll see all your data in Google Analytics. And the guys were like, "Wow, that's amazing. So where do I sign up?" Well, you don't need to sign up right now. You just have it for you. So that was
that's how you do it. MVP. I love it.
yeah. So that was the beginning, and that was actually quite fun. And my co-founder Moshe did an amazing job there.
Yeah.
And as we saw things evolving nicely, we decided to give it a go. So we have an interface now, at least.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Now that interface that you see right now went through so many changes over the past 2 years.
Right.
We added so many integrations and so many, whether e-commerce integration, lead generation integration, affiliate networks, and now we have more ad networks like obviously Bing and Facebook and so on. So yeah, we've done a extensive job at trying, and as you experience yourself, trying to make it as frictionless as possible for the user. Because we know how complex, that whole tracking and attribution thing is.
Right.
I can tell you that I'm still learning things, and there are so many nuances and so many subtleties, in that field. That, I mean, who wants to deal with that? I mean, seriously, who wants to, I mean, you want to hit your head on the wall? Yes, you can. But frankly, it's a maze, and people, get lost, and that's what our primary goal is just to get clean data in the easiest way as possible for the customers.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, Laurent. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. No, I think we're getting there slowly. We're getting there. But yeah, I can, still yesterday we identified a few, friction points where I think we can still, improve the software. And as we go by, I mean, we try to keep improving.
Right. Well, no, I think it's great. And like I told you before, I'm grateful. I mean, you talk about clean data. That's the name of the game when it comes to paid advertising. I mean, we have to know which campaigns are working, which ads are working. And, ever since the whole iOS 14 update, that's been such a struggle. And you are solving a huge problem in the marketplace. So I want to kind of move forward and start really getting into the nitty gritty of AnyTrack and how it can benefit my audience. Most of my audience, they sell t-shirts. So we're in e-commerce. Many of them are on Shopify. And so we have, the Shopify platform, and we sell through there. And then Facebook ads has always been a big part of the marketing strategy to be able to get our brands in front of the right people, and then get those people to our website and then convert them, and then be able to follow up and retarget, so forth and so on. But there's been some issues with tracking lately. So I want to kind of talk about this. Before iOS happened, we had the Facebook pixel. We put the pixel on our website. That pixel would send the information back to Facebook, and we had really good attribution. When the iOS 14 update happened, what made the pixel, I guess, ineffective as far as the tracking and the whole browser? What happened at that point in time that caused this big issue for advertisers?
Well, first of all, before the iOS update, data was flowing from your app, back to, from Shopify client side tracking back to Facebook. Easy peasy, nothing to configure. Everything is preset for you.
Right.
The iOS update and the general update of tracking is that pixels, client-side pixels, are being blocked.
Mm-hmm.
They are being blocked by an ad blocker, if you want. And what happened is that they just don't send signals to Facebook. So Facebook doesn't know that something just happened on your website. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now something happened on your Shopify. It happens in the server. Okay. So in your backend, you have a new cell. Mm-hmm. Now that cell that is being captured by the payment system, by the Shopify server, okay, can be sent to Facebook, through the API. So instead of having the Facebook pixel load on a website, okay, the Shopify server is calling a URL, okay, with the purchase data, okay, and that purchase data includes all kind of parameters, and then Facebook can do the attribution. Now the problem with this is that before Facebook can read that conversion data or that payload of items that have been bought and the value and so on, the Shopify and Facebook, they have to work together to make sure that every detailed parameter is being sent from one side to the other, and the other side can send, and then everything can be properly attributed. And that's where the problems are. Frankly, I know Shopify has a direct integration with Facebook, but we're still getting plenty of customers on Shopify because for some reason it doesn't work. Am I going to troubleshoot Facebook Shopify integration? No, but there seems to be some issues there, and that's why we've got those people using us now. One thing that you want to remember is that attribution, before you can attribute, you need to track. Okay, so you track the conversion, so there is a sale, and then you need to attribute it. To attribute it, you need to pass to Facebook or to whatever other systems that you work with, some data that will allow them to tie an event, like a purchase, with a user in their system. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google Analytics, whether it's Google Ads, it's always a user. Okay, so and that user is identified not necessarily by email address and phone number, but first by the native first-party data that is being set by Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, and so on and so on. So it's like a cookie ID, login ID, a cookie, all kind of little signals that are meaningless for everyone because they're just numbers. Okay, but they identify a user. Now, if you miss those parameters, then obviously you can't tell. You can send the conversion to Facebook, but Facebook will say, well, I have no idea who that person is. Okay, so I can't do anything with it. Now, the other thing that is problematic in attribution is that when your checkout page loads, okay, so well, thank you for buying. The client-side pixels like Google Analytics or Facebook Pixel, etc., they all load. They all show up on that page, even though they are not. Maybe the ad was from Twitter or from TikTok or LinkedIn. At the end, the checkout page loads, and bam, you've got a purchase showing up in Google Analytics. Associated with another campaign or some organic traffic, and Facebook also get the conversion. Now you have post-view attribution, post-click attribution. You have all kind of events that can be triggered by a thank you page. And you have no control over that. The page loads, the pixel loads, and then associated, the ad networks associated with those pixels will try to attribute a maximum of ads, of conversions to their ads.
Right.
To tell you, okay, come spend with me because that conversion came from me.
Yeah.
That's the follow the money. That's that's the name of the game. Now, if you can't control your thank you page, okay, there is one thing that you can control is the server side. And using server-side API or conversion, like the Facebook conversion API, or like even Google Analytics API or Google Ads API, then you can instrument and say, okay, well, that sale came from Google, I'm going to send it to Google. That sale came from Facebook, I'm going to send it to Facebook. Okay. Now the problem comes here is that when you do that, you're missing out on your audience. Because I'm advertising on Facebook, but I also want to advertise on TikTok.
Right.
Okay. So I want to be able to create a lookalike audience of all my purchases,
Right.
okay, in Facebook and in TikTok and in Google Analytics and in Twitter and etc. etc.
Right.
So if you just send the conversion or the attributed conversion to the ad network that is responsible for that conversion, I'm going to get like some great information, but I'm going to miss out in all my other pixels those audiences and those events that, you know, help us grow, you know, with retargeting or, you know, custom audiences or tracking or, you know, targeting in the funnel, you know, your users. I mean, that's the name of the game. I mean, really, you want to be able to instrument your data as you see fit. You have a business doing, you know, selling t-shirts, great. But you know, some other guys they're selling, you know, books, and some other guys they're selling you know, trips. Now when you sell a trip, you know, after 3 days the guy has probably bought his flight ticket, so you're not going to retarget that guy, okay? But you can retarget him like for, you know, forever, you know, I mean, as much as you can. So each company or each type of business has its contingencies or restrictions, and the ability to control that information or that data flow is key. Now, as you mentioned, yes, there is a conversion API between Shopify and Facebook, and also with Google. But the problem is that Facebook is not an attribution. Not Facebook. Sorry, Shopify is not an attribution system. So you've implemented the Facebook API with Shopify. Chances are that some of the data is not going to be sent, you know, to Facebook. Maybe the data of your audience might. I'm not 100% familiar with that, but that's probably what is the issue there. So the way we solve that is that we serve as a central point of last click attribution and audience building, so that because we use and we capture all the first party data of the users. So if you have like a Facebook pixel on your site and the Google Analytics pixel on your site, we capture that first party data set by those pixels. Obviously, no need to have you know, email addresses or anything. It's just like IDs, cookies IDs. Okay, and then we send the conversion back and the events from the Shopify back to your API endpoints, Google Analytics, and Facebook. Regardless if there are ads or not, every pixel that you have on your site will receive that add to cart event, begin checkout event, and purchase event. Okay, and then you can build up your custom audiences everywhere simultaneously. On top of that, we send the last ad click attributed conversion back to the ad network. So you send traffic from Google, you send traffic from Facebook. The last ad click is Facebook. Facebook is going to get the conversion attributed to the ads, and Google is going to get the purchase event as a data point to build a custom audience.
Yeah, powerful. No, so I'm over here just nerding out, Lauren. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to you right now, and for everybody, for the audience, I hope that y'all are holding on and understanding the ins and outs. I've listened to a couple of his interviews already, and I just studied it and rewind it, but I'm clear and I'm tracking you all the way. And one thing that is powerful that I just want to highlight is you're saying, Laurent, say for instance, somebody comes to my Shopify store. I have my Facebook pixel. The sale came from Facebook. The Shopify API would send that back over to Facebook, but from an audience standpoint, Bing doesn't benefit. Google Analytics doesn't benefit. All these other platforms don't benefit. And so I can't build custom audiences over there to either create lookalikes or to retarget. Is that the case?
Not all of it. Sorry. Okay. If you have your pixels, yes, they will somehow, you know, fire back to. I mean, Google Analytics will fire back.
Right.
But in terms of attribution,
Right.
you're going to have a mix-up.
You want to know which one, where the sale came from.
Google Analytics will attribute it as it wants, okay,
Right.
as you know, based on their system, and Facebook will attribute the conversion as it as it wants. Okay, so eventually you get the conversion in both systems. You'll see the audience building in both systems. Okay, but you don't know necessarily which of the ads was responsible for that.
Right.
So if you don't, so because it's Shopify actually firing the conversion, and Shopify is not an attribution system, okay, they probably have some rules, okay, but they fire everything. They don't have restraints. So like, why would they, they stop, one on the other.
Right.
So it's, call it, it's a bit somehow misleading, okay? Yeah. And often you can, make the wrong decisions, on that part of the of the attribution business. Yeah. But at the end, if you control the last or the attribution from the shop, okay, and then you can have a better or more certainty about what's really happening. That's now, I want to say something on top of that, because I think many people, no offense, many people are confused with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is doing a few things. Obviously, a web analytics for your website that gives you a 360 view of everything. Okay, your audience, your acquisition, your content, your conversions. Okay, so that's one thing. But Google Analytics is also an extension of Google Ads. Mm-hmm. So when you connect Google Analytics and Google Ads, first you can see your Google campaign in Google Analytics. Okay, mm-hmm. And then you can use the conversion goals in Google Analytics in Google Ads. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you can use also the audience segments that you build in Google Analytics and share them in Google Ads, so you can create custom audiences there and retarget. But the last bit of Google Analytics, and that is probably the most important, is their attribution system, multi-funnel, multi-channel attribution system, where you can really see what are the channels that are involved in the conversion path. Okay, and now this is based on the real first-party data that you have that Google Analytics sets on the website. Not email addresses, not anything like that. Okay, real first-party data. Okay, that only Google Analytics has. Okay, and you own it, and Google Analytics own it, and it's there, and you can play with it. You can really understand. So you have a user coming from organic search, and then he's coming back from Facebook retargeting, and then he's coming back from Google, and then he comes back from an affiliate, referral that you have. Now, how do you credit the conversion? How do you know who was the responsible for the sale? It's only when you control that last attribution click, where you can actually send that information back to Google Analytics, and when Google Analytics uses the cookie ID of that user. And you can follow that user, and you can follow the entire path of the user and say, oh, well, this guy, he first came 2 weeks ago, and then he came back from Facebook, and then he came back from an email that I sent, and then he bought something. Right. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting path. So if you see that 20% of your conversions coming from this type of path, then you say, okay, well, I might improve that.
Right. Ramp that up.
Ranking better on SEO, because my first hit is on SEO. Okay, and then better retarget on Facebook, or have like a bit of a twist but that's only when you control that information.
Right.
And the attribution system of Google Analytics is, I I give you that, is a bit complex to understand, even for me. But when you start, putting your head around it and reading about it, you start to understand the power of it, and it's extremely powerful because everything is about data, and once you get there, I mean, it's a gold mine.
Absolutely. Well, no, I can appreciate it, and I think everybody watching right now, you should really understand. Like, I speak with my inner circle and my coaching program all the time. When it comes to Facebook ads, what your Shopify store, whatever it is, the numbers tell all. The numbers will help you make decisions going forward in the future, and that's exactly what you're helping us do. But one thing that I want to get an understanding of, Laurent. So we have like the regular Shopify API that'll speak directly to Facebook, but we're saying that there's some issues there. It may not be registering all the purchases, all of the events. So with AnyTrack, what are we doing? Are we taking the information and we're pushing that into AnyTrack, and then AnyTrack pushes it into Facebook? Is that kind of how the flow goes?
Yeah. Okay. Essentially, we don't replace the Facebook pixel. I mean, the Facebook pixel that you have, that you work with, is still the same Facebook pixel, but we are going to instrument the events that you have on your website, okay? And then from there, capture the sales and forward them to Shopify. To Facebook API. With all the relevant information, whether it's the product, the items, the value of the sale, and all of this. And that is being sent directly from, server side, from Shopify to AnyTrack, and from AnyTrack to Facebook in real time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the role. Now, if you connect also Google Analytics, that's also going to happen in real time and simultaneously. So both, all the events and the conversion are being sent at the same time. So yeah, the flow is, Shopify sends the conversion to AnyTrack, AnyTrack sends the conversion to Facebook and the other pixels.
Absolutely. Sounds good. And so tell me this, and I think you mentioned it. You said, it's not so much of a replacement, but when we take the AnyTrack code and we put it on our Shopify store, should we maintain and keep on the Shopify API so it speaks directly to Facebook? And should we keep the pixel on our website, or do we just have everything running simultaneously, or do we just need AnyTrack?
No. Okay. So in the short answer is you can remove the Facebook pixel and AnyTrack will load it in the background. Okay, so that's the short answer, the easy answer. You don't want to remove the Facebook pixel, you can leave it. That's not a problem. If when the website loads, we don't detect the Facebook pixel, we're gonna load it for you.
Okay, nice.
Okay, if we detect it, we leave it as it is. The problem with the Facebook API is that if you send you have to deduplicate the event. Okay, so when you send the events to Facebook, you need to add an event ID, and that event ID will be used by Facebook to deduplicate the conversion in case there is a double count for some reason. Shopify has its own event ID set, okay, and we have our own. So if we send the same event or the same purchase, you send it from the Facebook API Shopify integration, and also from the AnyTrack Shopify integration, it's going to show up as different events because the event ID will be different.
Wow.
So that's going to double count your conversion.
That's an issue.
Yeah. Now you cannot send twice the same. It's like, it's like, imagine you use Google Analytics and Google Ads pixel on your website, okay, and both are sending the purchase event, and you're using both as a conversion for your ROI.
Right. Right.
You're
Absolutely.
gonna
Yeah.
load
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be off.
cars,
Everything is wrong.
and Google Ads will see like two conversions, and
Right.
they will fire those two conversions. So
Makes
that's going
sense.
to be a problem. That's the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, essentially you have Facebook direct integration or AnyTrack integration. You have to choose one of them. If one doesn't work for you, I mean, again, I don't know. Some people don't succeed with the Shopify Facebook for some reason. So they use us, and also if they have other ad networks. But yeah, essentially remove you can disconnect the conversion API from the Facebook from the Shopify system, and let AnyTrack run it.
Really good. Okay. Sounds good. So, just for use case for everybody listening, so when it comes down to this tracking and Shopify sending it to Facebook, what I had ran into, basically Facebook ads have been working, but the issue I've run into is I might get 10 sales, 20 sales in a day. And then when I look at my Facebook ads manager and I look at the reporting, it only shows there's maybe 2 or 3 sales, right? And so a lot of those sales that may have come in today, they would report maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 days down the line. And it was hard for me to understand which campaign worked the best. So I didn't know which one to turn off. I probably was spending money that I didn't need to spend. And so it was really difficult to keep track. When I ended up getting AnyTrack, I ended up putting everything on and setting it up. The first night I let it run. And then the next day, I started seeing that my conversions were coming through. And AnyTrack has a dashboard. It has its own dashboard to let you know what the purchases are. But then when I took those purchases from AnyTrack and compared it to Facebook, they started to line up a lot more than what it did before. So that's the beauty of it, because it allows you to understand how your ads are performing, how your campaigns are performing, engage how to make decisions with those campaigns later on. So with that being said, Laurent, how long do those conversions or purchases or whatever we're tracking, do those report instantly, or does it take a little bit of time? Talk to me about the time frame as far as the reporting goes.
Okay, so in terms of reporting within AnyTrack, it's happening in real time.
Okay.
So the sale happened, and you're gonna see it almost instantly on AnyTrack.
Okay.
We are sending the conversion instantly to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Facebook clearly says on their documentation or the support site that the conversion might take up to 3 days.
Okay, got it.
To report in the ad manager. Now, one thing that we are working on, we are actually working on something that will improve that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something that we started discussing a few days ago.
Yeah.
Because we understand that there is a huge problem there. People are stopping campaigns that they shouldn't be stopping,
right?
And and it's really hard to navigate. I mean, sometimes the attribution is done much faster,
right?
And then some other days it's gonna be like crazy slow,
right?
And there is no consistency with that. I mean, I was on the phone with someone before, says like, sometimes we're like, the same day we have everything, and then sometime 2 days.
I ran into that the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So that's, we are working on something that's going to be very interesting, both in terms of attribution, but also in terms of your ability to understand the lag, between what's happening in Shopify / AnyTrack and Facebook. Right. And the different phases. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Now, one way, obviously you have the conversion data in AnyTrack, but another way to do it, and that's something that I highly recommend, is to plug Google Analytics, because Google Analytics is reported in almost real time. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have the real time dashboard in Google Analytics, so you can actually see your sales coming through, as they are in real time. and then they are being reported in the standard Google Analytics reports within a few hours. So I'm always recommending to connect also Google Analytics because simply you get you get a lot of data out of it. That's something that I would highly recommend. Not doing it is a mistake. Let's put it this way.
On the Google Analytics, so I guess maybe it's so does Google Analytics allow you to look at the data like campaign by campaign? Does that pull in by the URL parameters? Is that
UTM? You use standard UTM parameters, and Google Analytics will capture that information instantly.
Okay, got it. Good. Well, no, I think that's amazing, man, because like you just said, like 90%, 95% of the time, things were working and things are tracking extremely well. I mean, I've been using it over the last couple of weeks. I passed my free trial, so I'm a paid member now, Laurent. But
thank you.
Yeah, man. So it's been working great. But I reached out to my group. I shared it with a few of people in my circle, and I was like, "How's AnyTrack going?" Because one day over the weekend, I was missing some conversions, but then yesterday when I looked at it, it was back on. So I understand what you mean as far as, there are certain days that it just may not do it. But for the most part, things have been going really good. Now, this is the other thing that I want to know. And this is something that one of our ladies in the comments, she's a superstar. So we were kind of talking about this yesterday. As far as AnyTrack, from my understanding, AnyTrack pushes information to Facebook. Facebook doesn't send information back to us. So is there any way within AnyTrack to be able to track ROAS? Because this goes back to understanding if our campaigns are working well. And if I was to be able to look at AnyTrack and say, okay, I see what the revenue's coming in, but as far as the ad spend or the ROAS, that would be wonderful because I don't have to rely on Facebook. So what do you say about that?
Well, I can't comment on that. Sorry, I need to connect Sorry about that. Just need to connect my phone here. Okay. All right. Okay, next question, please. All right. So yes. So okay. Ari, sorry. Calm down. Yes, we are working on something. Yeah. As I said before, we understand that that reporting is key, and that reporting delay is very painful for everyone. Yeah. And that's why we're going to release something that will cover that, right. And will also cover the cost, the campaign cost within AnyTrack, so that you can get your ROAS properly figured. And if you like Google Analytics, then we can also push it to Google Analytics.
For sure. Well, no, I think that's good. I'll leave it at that. I smell you from a mile away. I know where you're going with it. And I think it's amazing, man. Like I said, the solution that you are providing to people like us. And I just want you to understand this too. I spoke to you about it before, but I want the audience to understand. Facebook has been such a powerful platform. I've been running ads since 2014. I have built businesses with Facebook ads. It's allowed me to be able to, not work at a specific job and be able to build a business on my own and provide for my family and get awareness and all of these different types of things. And it's been tough for a lot of people who have solely depended on ads. Now, it's important for us to have our list, text message, email, own our traffic. But when we're trying to get paid traffic and get more exposure, this whole debacle has just been crazy. And so what you do is provide a solution for people like me, for people like in the T-shirt Millionaires audience, and it's really, really helpful. And I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure my audience is educated on what you have. So it's great, man, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing that ROAS in the dashboard. And so real quick, I want to just do a little bit of speculation. So, you know,
When?
right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Wait. No, I'm not gonna be too tough on you.
I just made it up.
I'll be patient.
Forget it. I just made it up.
This is much better than what I have right now. I'll be patient. But I also want to speculate on Apple really quick. Do you feel like they're going to have their own network? Do you think that this is a control type thing that they're doing? Do you think they'll have their own ad network at some point in time?
Well, they already have it, but they're not pushing it too aggressively right now, because it would then sound or look too obvious that they did this entire ad tracking just to push their own agenda.
Right.
And that's more maybe like a bit more a general opinion. I think the companies like Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and whatnot, and Google, obviously, they, economically speaking, they have the size of countries, or even continents. And imagine you are Apple, and you control you control your population. I mean, you control the devices, you control the pipelines, you control the content, you control the payments, you control the way applications are built, or call it, roads are built. And then you have another country that, is tapping into your continent. And that country is Facebook, is coming and say, okay, well, I'm going to, market my product, into your customers. And that money that I'm going to take from your customers, is going to come to my pocket. And Apple says, well, listen, you want to market your product in my country, you have to pay a tax. So that tax is the optimization, lag of time. That tax is, the cost of advertising that is going to increase, and so on. So I reckon, that's going to keep, obviously increasing. And if you look from 30,000 feet and you look at what's happening, everybody's fighting for eyeballs and for the audience, and whether it's for economical reasons, political reasons, education reason. I mean, it's people are fighting for the eyeballs of the consumers. So it's a natural evolution that we are seeing, but eventually, there's no limits to what we can do. People are still buying your T-shirts.
Yep.
So, what's the you don't know in Facebook Ad Manager that they're buying, but they're still buying.
Yeah.
So at the end, we'll find a way to to report it properly and accurately, and while keeping the privacy of the users and the consumers, private, because it's clear that Apple is somehow, perhaps allegedly abusing their position and that pretext of user privacy, but privacy has been abused clearly over the past almost forever. So it's going in the right direction, and we need to play. How do you say in the US? Play ball with them.
Yeah, play ball. There we go. Yeah. Well, no, I love it. And I think it's powerful. And yeah, we'll just we'll see what's on the horizon and everything that comes out. I think it's a very interesting time, in the paid advertising world and what's going to happen. But I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities that come out of it, and things will get better. You all are making things better. Really quick, a couple more questions before we wrap. Laurent, what's your purpose for this? What drives you as a founder? You creating this, you're doing what you're doing. Why this path, and what drives you to do what you do?
I think, as I mentioned before, I was always addicted to data. And when we were getting that right, we were just getting a big edge, and we could thrive. So that's my that's my drive. But eventually I like creating. I like creating. I like the fact that when I hear you, like, wow, that's amazing. This is like the best. I mean, this is the best thing I can. That's the best reward for us. And clearly, the past year has been extremely interesting for us. We are very grateful for we got many clients. I mean, we're still young, we're still small, but we try to navigate that ecosystem, and there is a lot of I wouldn't say bullshit, but there is a lot of confusion, and some people are taking advantage of it. Confusing people, talking about AI and talking about all kind of weird things that don't really exist, except in Google and Facebook, for that matter. Because Facebook is AnyTrack is part of the Facebook business partner. Send you the link to the directory where we are listed. So that's my drive. But the drive is creation, essentially.
I love it. No, I love it, man. I'm always appreciative of a creator. Being able to take something, solve problems, bring something new into the world. I think that's a big part of why we're here as human beings. So I think that's powerful. So last question I got for you, Laurent. What advice would you give to someone who is at the very beginning of their entrepreneur journey, and they're just trying to figure out how to get traction and just start moving forward? What advice would you give that person who's at the very beginning?
Don't overlook the power of data. That's my first. That's the first advice. Because when you have a little bit of traffic, they say, "Oh, who cares about retargeting? I have I have 20 visits a day. Who cares about retargeting 20 visits a day?" But like every day counts, okay? And without this data can give you so much, even small events. Okay, you might not have many conversions, but small events of the path to conversion, where people actually fall in the funnel, is already a great indication of what you should be doing.
So powerful.
So really consider data as being like an asset. Be consistent with it. And otherwise, I'm sure there are wiser people than need to give advice about entrepreneurship. Be consistent, resilient, and work hard.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, look, Lauren, this was a powerful interview, man. I can't thank you enough. This is one that I was looking forward to for a while. And, the value was just amazing. I know I enjoyed it. I know my audience and everybody who's going to listen in the future, they're going to find a lot about this. And I'm going to be doing free training with my audience to let them know how I set up AnyTrack and how I put it on my store. And it's going to be for absolutely free. So we can start getting people some better results as they're running their ads, because it's needed. It's needed. And so
I'm very happy, by the way, if you want to have like a short webinar where we can I can explain a few things and walk you and your audience across the platform. I mean, happy to do it. Really.
I would love that, and we'll set it up. We'll definitely set it up, and we'll schedule it. So T-shirt Millionaires, we're going to have a webinar. We're going to have something live with Laurent so we can go through, make sure you understand it, understand how to implement it on your store. And we're going to get you off on the right foot so you can start tracking the right data. So, my brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you a ton. I appreciate you putting your fingerprint on the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. And we will definitely be in touch to figure out this next step, okay?
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, audience.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
very happy to be here today.
Absolutely. Talk soon, Lauren. We'll be in touch. Thank you. All right.
Bye. Have a good day. Ciao.
Yes, sir. And another one. I see all y'all's comments in here. Y'all said very powerful. I got up early for it. I see you. Yes, the webinar. Awesome. Great morning breakfast for the brain. Pre-breakfast before. Fire. Thank you. Fire. That's what's up. Wet Coast Sweatshop. Another one. Love this. Y'all, this was a great interview, and I appreciate Lauren. I told him it was early over here in the U.S., but y'all came on, y'all showed out, y'all put comments, y'all were interested in the conversation. And I think that this was about right now in the midst of what we're going on. This whole iOS thing, we've been dealing with it, since the beginning of the year. And Facebook ads have worked, just like Lauren talked about. You still sell your T-shirt, but when it comes down to understanding what campaigns are working, how ads are performing, it's been difficult. And I'm telling you, one night, I don't know what it was, but I was just up late at night and I was just Googling, trying to figure out, is there a way around? Is there somebody out there who has tried to solve this problem? And I think I saw it was probably a Google ad, and it was AnyTrack. And I clicked on it and I was like, what the heck is this? And I was like, it got a 14-day free trial. Why not? Let me just go ahead and see how, it works. And I went in and I put it in and I ran ads that night. And, I don't know if things worked that night, but the next day and the next few days, I was like, wow, it's reporting back. I can see which ads are performing. And at that point in time, I started spending more on ads because I was more confident in the data. And that's something that we haven't had for a very long time. So I want y'all to understand the power of this. You may be someone who run ads and you fully understand this conversation, or you may be someone who is brand new where you don't know, we're talking about Pixel and API and all these different things, and you have no understanding. It's okay. The thing that I want you to understand is that this is powerful and this is a game changer in the times we're in, especially when we're trying to use paid advertising to get our brands out there. So this is going to be powerful, y'all. I want y'all to stay in tune because I'm going to get back with Lauren. I'm super gracious that he is willing to be able to do a webinar with us. But I just want to y'all know how we do before we close out. I have to do our millionaire recap and, talk about everything that we went through. So basically, AnyTrack, leveraging other platforms. Laurent, he came from a performance marketing background, right? So he's been doing this for a while, and he ended up switching over and leaving more of the B2C space to get into B2B. And one thing that I didn't hit on a lot in the interview, but I can appreciate, and I think that this is going to be something for everybody here that's powerful, is I think he said when he first started it, it didn't work. Like, I guess he didn't have like early results. But he said he got a lot of learning from it. Now, see what he's built now. It's done great things. He learned from it. He persevered around it. And now this is great platform for people to be able to use and improve their businesses and their lives. And so I think that's extremely powerful. Basically, he said that client side pixels are being blocked. So the normal way, the way that we did it before is we had our pixel on the website. That pixel that would speak back to Facebook, that would send all the data, and we'd be able to track that way. But he's saying that a lot of that is being blocked now. Shopify also has their own API, but I guess there's not the results maybe not be as accurate on that specific side as well. So what they ended up doing is creating AnyTrack to where now the results that come from our Shopify store, whatever website we have, those push over to AnyTrack. AnyTrack feeds that information over to Facebook and it becomes more accurate. All right. Now, another great thing about it is, as before, you could have your Google Analytics, you could have your Google Ads, you could have your Snapchat ad, you could have these different platforms and these pixels on your website, and it would track. But now when it comes down to the attribution of, okay, this sale came from a Facebook ad or Instagram ad, this sale came from Google ads, the attribution is getting more accurate due to AnyTrack as well, so we can understand how to utilize that. But the other great thing about it is, just like before, with everything being pretty much in a central platform, say for instance, you have your Facebook ads and you have a lot of events and things coming from your Facebook ads, those audiences can be shared to other platforms, which makes it, extremely powerful as well. So those are some things to look out. Now, one thing that Laurent talked about is Google Analytics, and he spoke about that a lot as far as, being able to set up your Google Analytics, look at your dashboard there. I think Google Analytics, I would need a training. I have Google Analytics set up, but as far as the reporting side, I've never been really deep because it is more of a complex system than maybe like the Facebook ad dashboard, but you can get a lot of reporting, over there. And it gives you a view of your business. Another thing is this. We talked about, with the Google Analytics, he spoke about it before, tag manager and everything. You have to be pretty much a programmer to make sure it's, it works properly so you can have clean data. At the end of the day, it's about clean data. If the data isn't clean, then it's just useless at that point in time. We can't make decisions off of it. And so the beautiful thing about AnyTrack is it's easy to install, it's easy to set up. I went in, I set it up easily. I was off to the races probably within the next hour or so. So it makes it really easy to be able to set up. And then it's almost like a set it and forget it thing. You really don't have to do much after that. So I think that's extremely powerful. The next thing that we talked about is I need y'all to understand this because I already mentioned it. But whatever Lauren is working on, he was like, I can't answer the question right now. Whatever they're working on, it's going to be a beautiful thing when our ad spend can come into the platform, and then our return on ad spend can come into the platform. And I no longer have to really worry about looking at the Facebook dashboard, at least for this period of time. I can look directly within AnyTrack and say, okay, this specific campaign, I ended up getting revenue. I have $500 in revenue. I have 10 sales, right? And then at the same time, I spent $100 on ads. So I know that my profitability is there. I can see the return on ad spend. And I know, look, I'm just going to go ahead and keep that ad running. The great thing with AnyTrack is it's providing and pushing that data into Facebook. But like Lauren said, there's some things where, some days it's good. Everything is working right. And then you might have some days where it might be a small lag. But with everything being within the platform, that can be extremely powerful and be able to help us out. And then the next thing is we speculated kind of about Apple and what they're doing, right? They ended up shutting down and making it difficult for Facebook to track and, really all of these different platforms. If you have an iPhone, you have probably been getting that little notification that says, do you want to be tracked or do you not want to be tracked, right? And there's a lot of people who are opting out, right? And Apple, they may be in the background doing their own thing, building up their platform, and we'll see what comes out of that. But like I said during the interview, I think that is some exciting times. It's important to persevere, but thankfully for people like Lauren and AnyTrack, they're helping us be able to get through these times and still find a lot of success with our campaign. So that's a really great thing. And then the last thing that I want to end it on is what Lauren said at the very end when I asked him about what advice would you give for somebody. And basically he said, don't overlook the power of data. Y'all, that is extremely, extremely important. And when it comes to Facebook ads, that's something that I have always said. The power of ads and understanding if they work and being able to scale and being able to grow with ads is understanding how to read the metrics and understanding how to read the data. Once you start understanding how to read the data, Laurent mentioned it. There might be some issues with somebody coming to your store. And you're like, man, I spent, I don't know, $1,000, $500 on ads. I'm not getting the return I want. But when you start understanding how to read the data, you understand the drop-off points. You know if somebody gets to the product page, are they leaving at that point? If they get to the cart page, are they leaving at that point? How long are people staying on the website? There's a lot of things in the numbers that starts to uncover the gold so you can be able to help your campaigns perform. And then another great thing that he mentioned, you might look at your data and you might find something to where maybe they visit your website, they leave, they look at an email, right? They come back to your website and maybe they buy. Well, if you see that trend over and over again, that might be a campaign. There's some things that you can do to be able to amplify that vein of gold to produce more results and more sales, but you would never know that if you don't understand how to read the data. And that's one thing that AnyTrack allows us to do. So, y'all, I think this is powerful. I definitely would highly suggest that you dive into it, you learn a little bit more. We're going to be doing a live training. I was already going to do it, but like I said, Laurent was gracious enough to say that he will be willing to do a live webinar. So we're going to set that up. At the very bottom of this video on YouTube, I have my affiliate link, right? I have an affiliate link. And so when you sign up for AnyTrack, when you go through that affiliate link, I get a small kickback, and I'm appreciative of that. So if you have found value from it, if you think that it's something that you want to try, if you try it before our training, I have an affiliate link below the video. And then, just be on the lookout because the training is going to be completely free. I'm doing it for the T-shirt millionaires community because I want y'all to be set up the right way. So when you do start running ads, you can get the results that you want or get a little bit closer to what we have right now. So that's it, y'all. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this. If you found value, go put it in a Facebook group, share it with your mama. You go put it, on your Instagram page, your story. Take a picture of this right now, put it on your story, tag me. And I thank you so much for all the support and everything that y'all do. And I'm going to end it how we always end it. If you can see it with your mind's eye, one day you're going to be able to see it with your real eyes. I believe in you, T-shirt millionaires. Keep pushing forward. Be on the lookout for my Instagram, my email, my text message for when we do this webinar. And it's going to be great. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next episode. Peace. Talk to you later on. All right.